Breaking news, Chris has risen. Energy Minister Chris Bowen has emerged from hiding. He's been hiding all this campaign to be ambushed by Sky News' Julia Bradley, and he was finally asked what he learned from the terrible blackouts of all Spain and Portugal on Monday, a disaster caused by having too much wind and solar power. A disaster that Dr. Adi Patterson, a former head of Australia's Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation, told me last night was coming to Australia under Bowen's policies.
We are on a road to failure. There's no doubt in my mind. We saw that in Spain just in the last 24 hours. What happens when an unstable wind plus solar grid runs into a problem of having too much, the whole thing falls over catastrophically. Every expert who is running the grid that we are trying to run in the way that we're trying to run it knows that it cannot be done.
A serious warning from a serious expert, but Chris Bowen did a bit of a Sergeant Schultz. We know nothing about Spain, nothing as yet, and then attacked Dr. Patterson.
There isn't an expert involved in running our energy system who thinks the coalition's plan is vaguely sensible or practical.
What about the open letter? There's, 50 signatories, experts as well?
Well, they're people who've been long-term advocates of nuclear power. That's no surprise.
Joining me is Nationals frontbencher Barnaby Joyce, the former Deputy Prime Minister and our Thursday regular. Barnaby, honestly, when you see that, you can understand, can't you, why our power system is in such trouble. Here's a bloke that cannot look at clear evidence from Spain and clear warnings from one of our top power experts and learn the lesson. You've got to pull back or we're stuffed. And we're going to get, if the polls are right, 3 more years of this guy.
Yep. Andrew, I haven't found one person who says, gee, I'm really looking forward to another 3 years of Minister Chris Bowen. That's what I want. That's what I'm voting for. In my heart, I'm going to the poll. I'm going to put in my ballot box saying, I want 3 more years of Chris. I tell you what, it was not just Spain, Andrew, it was the whole Iberian Peninsula that went down, the whole Iberian Peninsula, and they said it was atmospheric conditions, whatever that means. What we are seeing is quite clearly that reality is in. Physics has won this debate. You cannot run a nation on intermittent power by its very nation. It's not renewables, it's intermittent. It happens sometimes, doesn't happen, happens in other times, happens in tiny little bits, then doesn't happen at all. And when you do it, you resign your nation to destitution. And obviously what we saw with the Iberian Peninsula, for which all you good people listening know, so you go from the Pyrenees right all the way back to the English Channel, all that area, they had a little example of medieval Europe, just what it's like to live without power. And we hear in the reports the police were out, 30,000 police were out because the criminals were out, no power. And we're doing this to ourselves. We're doing this to ourselves. We're going to this election and we're going to say, I want to be like Spain. I want to be like Portugal. I want to be black like that. I want my nation at night to look like that at night. It's mad. It doesn't work. And, and Minister Bowen steps up there and we've got to do it. We've got to stop this. We've got to join with the world, even though the world's not joining with us, even though China was never there. India
look, it's a tragedy.
There,
but Barnaby, if we want reliable power that is emissions free, if you really believe we've got to go net zero, you have to go nuclear. And that is going to be the tragedy if Labor comes in, because I know they take a while to build, but now we can add 3 more years before we can actually even start to think about building them. So this is one of the tragedies. But then there's Anthony Albanese's lying about the cost of those 7 nuclear plants that you've been talking about. $600 billion he claims, when the CSIRO says no. It says it's a fifth of that. Look, you know it's rubbish, I know it's rubbish. Only now, though, do I hear it even being called out by radio presenters. The message has finally got through to them, like one in Perth today. But I want you to watch how shamelessly Albanese When it's called out, he keeps smiling and smirking like he knows that lying works anyway, or it's all a big game. Have a look at this.
I know you say that. It's not, mate. You're saying this all the time. It's not. It's not.
It is.
You know it's not. You know it's not.
I know it is.
You know it's not.
Hinkley.
No, it's not. You've been called out on this a lot.
No,
You have been.
No,
you have
600.
been. I've seen this a lot.
Hinkley,
in all the debates
Glenn,
you had, which has been 4, you keep saying 600 and you
because
keep
that's
getting
what the
called
figures
out on
are.
it.
See, this is the thing, Barnaby. Those guys lie like butter wouldn't melt in their mouth, and you guys haven't been quick in picking up the lies and countering them, or your campaign hasn't.
Well, I have to commend on your network. I have to commend David Littlepratt, who did a very good interview with Laura Jays, basically saying
That's right.
the fourth estate has got to do their job to hold truth to power and to say what you're saying is a lie. What they've done, ladies and gentlemen, is that to come up with this fantastic number, which they do all the time. The Inland Rail is going to cost $31 billion. BS. Dungowan Dam's going to cost $1.3 billion. BS. The nuclear power stations are going to cost $600 billion. It's like Dr. Evil off one of those movies. You know, Dr. Evil coming out and saying, "Oh, $600 billion." BS. What they did, ladies and gentlemen, is they got a turbocharged Porsche and multiplied it by 7 and said that is the price of every car in Australia, which we know is absolute bumpkin. It's also a lie. A lie. They're not telling you the truth. And they do it with this smirk on their face.
What I don't get, Barnaby,
Chris Bowen smirk. You know, and we've got to call for it.
No. But what I don't get is why you guys...
Don't like nuclear, but don't listen to their lies. Don't listen to their BS. Don't be that naive.
I totally agree, Barnaby. I totally agree that the media, parts of the media, have totally forgotten they're in the truth business, right? They were all fact-checking Trump. Oh, fact-check Trump, fact-check Trump. They wouldn't even fact-check their own Prime Minister. Point 1. Point 2 is why you guys were so slow on this. I think Peter Dutton's right. But you go and have a look at the Trump White House now. They've got a rapid response team on social media. The very next second, hour, they've got a correction. You guys didn't do that. And I think the Liberals and Nationals have got to think about this in future. If lies are now the currency of Labor election campaigns. Barnaby Joyce, thank you so much for talking to us.